Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. In today's video, we are going to make a variation of this card. It's called a double easel. I'm not holding it straight. It folds flat to post and it will fit in a standard size envelope wherever you are in the world. It's really, really straightforward to make. And today we are going to be making a Christmas version. So I'm going to get the camera turned around and we'll get started with the crafting. So let's start out with showing the products I'm going to be using today. It's currently a celebration. It's July 2022. Celebration runs July and August. Obviously, if you're watching this video a bit later on, you may find that some of the products are missing or out of stock or have finished. But at the time of the video, this was live and available. And I'm going to be using this lovely paper here. It's called the Silver and Gold Designer Series paper. I'll just bring it in so I can show you. It's 6x6 and it's gold foiled and silver foiled. So you've got a stripe and a spot in both. They're just foiled on one side, they're white on the reverse, and they're 6x6. You get 24 sheets in a pack, and it's free with a £45 or a €60 order. So we're going to be using that, but the star of the show, let me find the right page, page 34, is this little chap here, the Christmas Scottie dog. I was so thrilled to see this in the catalogue. It's a really lovely set. It works beautifully on its own, but there is a matching punch as well. So the punch punches out this bow and this Scottie dog. But I'm not actually going to use the punch today. I'm just going to be stamping on the card. So I will use the punch in another video moving forwards. So let's just grab the stamps. And I'm just going to run through a few of the stamps because there are a few images here that you might look at and go, what are they for? I don't understand. Because it was, I have to say, a little bit of trial and error when I was, all my stamps have stuck together. When I was initially doing all of the start of the stamping with these stamps, trying to work out what each thing was for. So I've got Starry Sky and Tahitian Tide, and I've got lots and lots of these, of the stamps. Okay, so let's just go through which ones are fairly straightforward. Obviously, you've got a ribbon border there, and snowflakes and sentiments, and this lovely plaid. And the first thing that you might look at is this kind of Y-shaped piece, and these two little stick pieces. Well, I really wasn't sure what they were, but then I stamped them together and it made sense. So that is a little bow to go on the top of a little present. So let me just stamp that again, see if I can stamp it a bit straighter this time. My bow was a bit in the air there. Just align it up. There we go. See, that's so the one on the left is so much better. Okay, so that is what the little Y shape and that one is for. So that's pretty cool. Let me clean these as I go, as otherwise you know what's going to happen. It's all going to get messy. Let's put them away. Okay, so the next one is the line. And It has a slight curve on it. It's for the dog's collars. But just be aware when you're stamping it to make sure that you stamp it so the curve is going the right way. So let me just stamp the dogs. And I appreciate that unless they've gone to a dog groomer's, we are not going to have blue Scottie dogs. But I have designed this card with blue Scottie dogs. So there we go. Right, let me just clean everything as I'm going. There we go. So then you just get your little line and line up over the top, and it will give all three of them a little collar. Okay, now be aware when you're stamping these dogs particularly, the images are solid. So make sure you're using a Stampin' Cut and Emboss mat or something like a mouse mat or something with a little bit of give to help the stamps transfer the ink. And when you're pressing it down, hold it for a few seconds to give the ink time to transfer onto the cardstock. Now, there is a big bow, which is this one. And this bow is the one that you can punch out. To me, this bow is too big for the dog. Unless you're going to kind of put it in the center. It's not like a bow going around his neck. This stamp, these two here, this one and this one, for me are a much better size. So let me just show you what I mean. So we're just going to stamp that there. So that's a much kind of more, for me, a more sensible size for the dog. And I'll pop that one, yeah, on there as well. And then there is another one which is a little bit smaller. No, a little bit bigger, should I say. This one. It's a bigger bow. And we'll just put that on there. So can you see, to me, they're perfectly in proportion to the dog. So that leaves one stamp, and this is your challenge. This stamp here. I don't understand what that's used for, because it doesn't match or go over the top of that one. I can't see how it's going to work on the dogs. So can you, in the comments, let me know what you think that stamp's for? It's got like a little bit missing, so I'm calling it like the partial bow because I just don't know. Okay, so we've worked out which stamps are going where. I'm going to use these two dogs because they're actually going to face each other, which works really, really well. And let me show you the card and show you the mechanism of how it all works. So as I said, this is a double easel fold, and this is the size of it when it's flat. It is 3-inch square. Oh, sorry, 3-inch. It starts out as a 6-inch square piece of card, but these two are 3 inches. Now, all of the measurements, if you scroll down, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube or my blog, all of the measurements are below. I'm going to be talking in inches today, just because that's what I'm working in. But there will be a centimetre version as well. So if you're working in centimetres, all of that information is going to be below as well. So you've got these two panels here, and they lift up, and the card stands like this. So I'm going to just bring it over underneath, directly underneath the camera so you can see. And if I sort of tilt it on its side, you'll be able to see there. So this mechanism here, this is scored, and that's what folds flat. It is a really straightforward, simple card, and you've got somewhere to write on the back. Now, I know that you might go, oh, I love that paper with the cranes. Sadly, it's just left the catalogue. But I wanted to show you this because there's, yes, the sentiment is stamped, but this is just patterned paper. And I bet in your stash, you've got loads of beautiful patterned paper that you could use this with. I'm going to stamp today, but yeah, you can use patterned paper. So I'm going to show you my template. Yeah, I'll show you the template first. So as I said, this is a 6-inch square, and it's scored in half at the 3-inch line, and then it's cut from the center to the 3-inch line. So that's 2 3-inch squares. And then these squares are scored on a diagonal. And we'll show you how to do that, but that is the mechanism. It is so straightforward to do. So there's my piece of Starry Sky. To use my trimmer, and I am going to score it at 3 inches. So as I said, this is a 6-inch square piece. So I'm scoring it in half. And then I'm going to cut it. So the score line runs this way. So I'm turning it around, lining it up at 3 inches, and I'm cutting, but I'm only cutting from the top to that score line, that 3-inch score line. Okay, so I'm just cutting there. And then I'm going to score from the outside edge to the center point. Now, the easiest way to do that is to fold over one of your triangles. Move your cutting blade out of the way, that's really important. And then line up the point of your square in the track. So at the top and all the way down to the bottom. And then you're going to score from the outside edge to the center line. Open that one up. Fold that one down and do exactly the same. There we go. Yeah, you can see the score line. I'm just going to search my bone folder, which is, of all of my tools in my craft room, it is the one that disappears the most often, and I don't know why. So just fold over these two pieces and score them really well, reinforce the score lines really, really well. And because this is a moving card, fold it back on itself and do it again. The more times that you can reinforce this cardstock to actually fold the way you want it to, the better. So I'm just going to reinforce that bit as well. So that is the mechanism made. Now you need lots of layers, so I'm going to get those layers out now. Some of them I've cut, but not all of them. Okay, so you need 2 3-inch squares, and they are going to be the ones that get stuck over the top. Then my next layer is going to be Tahitian type, that's 2 3/4 inches. And then I'm going to have white, which is 2.5 inches square. Then for this base panel, this is 5 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then I need to cut another one of those for the back. So 5 3/4 by 2 3/4. I want some of my lovely Scottie paper for the front. So that's 2.5 by 5.5. So that's going to go on the front. And then I want some basic white for the back, which is 2.5 by 5.5. Okay, so that is the two front panels, the sentiment panel, the writing panel for the back, and then there is this little panel which is sort of the bit that's going to prop up the easel bit, and that's 2 inches by 2 1/4, and then 2 inches by 1 3/4. So I'm going to get the pieces that I'm going to stamp. I'm not going to worry about any of this, because the sooner I can get these ink pads packed up and away, the better. Because I always stick my fingers in them. So I'm going to start out with my snowflakes. This is for the back. And I'm just, going to get some grit paper first. I'm just going to stamp some snowflakes along both edges. And by turning the stamps around, you get different images of snowflakes. Okay, so that one's done. We'll come back to the snowflakes in a minute. We want a Merry Christmas, and that is going in the center. And then I'm going to stamp snowflakes across the back of this, but I'm going to stamp them off. So I'm going to stamp onto my grid paper and then stamp. So it's just making it a little bit more subtle. And means that the Merry Christmas stands out really well. So that piece is going on there, like so. And then I've got my lovely Scottie dogs. So I'm going to use this one looking this way, and that one looking that way, so they're facing each other. I'm going to stamp them in Starry Sky again. I just think they look cute in blue. And then that one as well. Right, I'm actually going to stamp him again. I've got a little mark across there. So I'm just going to clean off that stamp. And do that again. One, 2, 3. So sometimes just giving it a little extra press really helps. So we're going to put the collars on them. And I'm going to put a little bow on one. And the bigger bow on the other one. And dressed up all smart. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the snowflake as I did before. I'm just going to put a little bit around the dogs so it looks like they're in a bit of a snowstorm. Just be careful because like the dog's eye and the sort of the gaps in between the paws and things, you don't want it to look like the snowflake is kind of coming through. There's one. There we go. So that's the two dogs. That's the back piece. The Merry Christmas is done. So before I assemble it, I just want to pull this together because I think we need a little bit more colour. So you can see that there. And we've got the Merry Christmas, but I think this piece needs a little bit more colour. Now, you can colour this paper with your blends or with markers, but you can also colour it using your blending brushes. So I just want a tiny hint of colour. I'm not trying to make this sort of all Tahitian tide. Yeah, it is Tahitian tide. I just want to soften the white. So can you see? So if I put it next to something that's white, it's just got a little bit of colour, and it just softens it and pulls it together. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of my ink pads. Move all the messy stuff out of the way. That's likely to get me covered in ink, and we can assemble the card. So mats and layers first. So this piece is going on the back. That's my sentiment. Now this is the piece that's going to be the upstand to kind of prop up the easel. So you need to put dimensionals on and put plenty of dimensionals on. Basically, you want this to be strong. You don't want this to budge, as otherwise your easels won't stand. So let's stick this one down. And these. So anything will work that will sit in a nice little square. So that stamped image is 2¼ inches, but obviously it could be paper, as I said before. Okay, so this is going to be the front of the card. So we'll pop that down. And that is going to be the back. Now, all we've got to do now is to put on our upstanding piece and these pieces. Now, you do have to pay attention to the way these pieces get stuck onto the card. So let me bring in the original and show you. So when you look at this card, the bottom of these two panels faces each other, so that when they're lifted up, the pieces on the outside edge, so the top is lifted, and then when you look at the card, it is the right way up. So with these pieces, they need to be stuck down this way in order for them to stand up correctly. It kind of feels more confusing than it actually is, but if I undo this piece to show you, this panel here, this center panel, is what is sticking down your image. So can you see that that is the right way up now? So if you fold this piece over, you can stick that piece down. So fold it down. Once I've stuck it and show you, it will all make, what I've just said will all make sense. So you're putting glue on that triangle. This piece is sticking over the top, and the Starry Sky piece is exactly the same size as that triangle. Okay, so you can see there, it's stuck over the whole thing. But when this opens and folds, can you see the dog is on his side? Up there is the right way, that way is on his side. I've got a bit of glue on there. Let's get my glue eraser and just get rid of that so I don't stick myself to it. Okay. So again with this one, so you've got your triangle piece, you're going to fold the triangle like so. And you're going to stick your dog. So this way is the right way up, but when it folds, the bases are together. Okay, so let me move that one out of the way. Let me pull this one up so you can see. Now when it stands the right way up. So all there is left to do is to put this piece in. Now, you have to move the easel bits backwards so that it stands up the way you want it. That's one of the reasons you put so many dimensionals on. So work out where you want your sentiment to go and position it. Make sure it's straight. I'm trying to look over the top of it without actually putting my head in the shot. And just check that it will hold your easels. You may need to lift it and move it down a little tiny bit. It is possible that they will bounce back. So you remember what I said about reinforcing the folds? If you go reinforce them again, it will really make a difference, because it just ensures that the card itself isn't going to ping back all the time. Hang on. She says, famous last words. There we go. I'll reinforce that one as well. There we go. So there is your double easel Christmas Scottie dog card. I'm just, every time I lift it up, it's gonna tilt. But this will fold flat and will stand beautifully on the mantelpiece, like so. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed making this lovely Scottie dog card. As I said, it stands beautifully, like so. You've got your sentiment panel on the back, and best of all, it folds flat to go in the post. Thank you so much for joining me today. All of the products you've seen today can be purchased in my online store. If you'd like to pop over to my blog, which is www.inspiringinkin.com, you'll find links to all of the measurements and my online store. I run online classes that you can take part in from anywhere in the world. And I can sell products to you if you're in the UK, France, Germany, Austria, and the Netherlands. We do have some really exciting news. Stampin Up is launching in Ireland and Belgium by the end of 2022. So if you are in either of those countries and would like some more information, catalogues, and to go onto my excitable mailing list to find out all of the latest information, I would love you to join on that list. So if you pop me an email, amanda@inspiringinkin.com, then and just explain your interest in those countries or anything else, actually, then please do pop me an email and I will respond to you as soon as I can. I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much for joining me. Goodbye.